In the quiet upscale suburb of Willow Creek, Virginia, on a crisp October morning in 2023, I found myself staring at a blinking red light above my front door, heart pounding like a war drum. My neighbor, Helen, the self-appointed queen of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, had just set off a chain of events that would spiral into a national security nightmare. All because she thought my sleek, modern address plaque was too shiny and suspicious. Holding her yappy chihuahua, Tinkerbell, like a shield, Helen had no idea she just poked a bear that reported directly to the Pentagon. Within 25 minutes, a Department of Defense drone would be humming over my manicured lawn, and I'd be at the center of a federal firestorm. If you told me that retiring to a peaceful neighborhood would land me in this mess, I'd have laughed and tossed my old work phone into the Potomac. But here I was, caught in a surreal clash of suburban pettiness and cutting-edge technology. I'd spent 30 years building AI defense systems for the government, the kind that could outsmart missiles and lock down bases. When I retired, I thought I'd left that life behind. I bought a house in Willow Creek, a place where the biggest drama was supposed to be whose roses won the garden contest. But the feds had other plans. They asked me to field test one final project, a smart home defense unit, complete with biometric scanners, encrypted comms, and a direct line to national security infrastructure. My job was simple: live quietly, log any issues, and never let anyone unauthorized near the system. Easy, right? Then Helen moved in. She wasn't even on the HOA board when I arrived. But 6 months later, she stormed the election unopposed, crowned herself president, and launched what neighbors called her lawn tyranny. She found a guy for a hedge half an inch too tall, sent cease and desist letters over a kid's chalk drawings, and zeroed in on me because my front gate had facial recognition and my address sign glowed softly at night. "This isn't a sci-fi movie, Michael," she'd shout across the cul-de-sac. "Stop playing James Bond." The irony was thicker than her HOA rulebook. If she knew the truth, her head might have exploded. The trouble started when I installed the biometric perimeter panel, a sleek, black slab by my gate with a warning: Defense monitoring active. Unauthorized access triggers federal alert. To Helen, it was a personal challenge. One sunny Saturday, she marched over, Tinkerbell in tow, wearing a visor and a t-shirt that screamed, "HOA equals harmony." "You can't post fake government signs, Michael. It violates Regulation 4.1.2, subsection B," she barked. I barely glanced up from my coffee. "It's not fake, Helen. Touch it, and you'll trigger a multi-agency response." She cackled. "Oh, please. I'm not scared of your geek toys." I didn't argue. People like Helen don't listen to reason, they learn from consequences. Sure enough, the next morning, my phone pinged while I was making toast. Someone had tried to access the scanner. Security footage showed Helen jabbing at it with a manicured nail, then smacking the gate with her HOA clipboard, Tinkerbell yapping like a backup alarm. I logged the incident, expecting a minor warning. But that night, she went further. At 2 a.m., my bedroom lit up with a pulsing red light, and a calm voice whispered, "Zone breach. Tampering detected." The footage was almost comical: Helen in gardening gloves, wielding a flashlight, poking the panel like it was a broken vending machine. She pressed the override button too long, and the system locked down, sending a level 3 alert to a Pentagon server. Somewhere in a Colorado bunker, an analyst was now staring at my house on a map, wondering if I was under attack. By morning, whispers spread. A neighbor, Sarah, sidled up during my jog. "Michael, why were 3 black SUVs parked outside your place last night?" I shrugged. "Probably lost Uber drivers." She wasn't buying it. Meanwhile, Helen strutted around like she'd cracked a CIA plot. "I knew he was trouble," she told anyone who'd listen. "I'm reporting him to the city." What she didn't know was that the feds weren't watching Methy, were watching her. Her face was now in a database, flagged as a potential threat, her only crime being an obsession with control and zero self-awareness. Things escalated on Tuesday afternoon. Helen showed up in what looked like a hazmat suit from a discount store, complete with a clipboard, safety goggles, and a voltage tester. She announced to the empty street, "This ends today," and jabbed the tester at the panel. The system registered it as an unauthorized device scan, and a silent alarm tripped. A DoD drone was rerouted to my address. ETA 20 minutes. I watched from my couch, popcorn in hand, as Helen yelled about community standards while Tinkerbell chewed her own leash. She had no idea she'd just logged herself as a national security incident. The next 24 hours were deceptively calm, like the eye of a hurricane. The neighborhood went quiet, but I knew the system had escalated Helen's antics to federal surveillance. Sarah texted me. Helen's planning a compliance march to check everyone's yards. She's unhinged. Sure enough, at 3 p.m., Helen appeared at my gate in a tactical vest emblazoned with HOA enforcement and a GoPro strapped to her chest, live streaming to her HOA's Facebook group. She waved bolt cutters like a sword. I hit the lockdown protocol, praying she'd stop. She didn't. When the cutters clamped onto the panel's housing, a low hum pulsed out, startling her. The red light blinked, and her face popped up in 3 military databases. She was now a variable, not a person, just a problem to be contained. A secure call came through my desk panel. It was Colonel Harris, my old contact. "Michael, this woman's hit the system 3 times. We're sending a recon team. Keep her away, or the system will handle it." His tone sent a chill down my spine. The system wasn't just defensive, it was adaptive. If it deemed Helen a growing threat, it might deploy countermeasures I couldn't override, like a foam spray meant to immobilize intruders. I wasn't about to let her get hosed down by a Pentagon prototype. The next day, unmarked SUVs rolled in, agents posing as surveyors. Helen, oblivious, recorded them from her window, posting rants about government spies. She told a neighbor my lawn was too green, proof of underground reactors. That night, at 1 a.m., she was back, using a laser pointer to hunt for hidden cameras. The system pinged against pride at a fence panel. A high-frequency sound wave sent her stumbling into her own rose bushes, Tinkerbell yelping. I sent the footage to the feds, and by morning, agents were at her door. They didn't arrest her, just handed her a warning about interfering with protected infrastructure. She went pale, but still tried to fine them for parking violations. The neighborhood held its breath. Helen's HOA emails grew wilder, claiming she'd exposed a rogue tech op. She wore a body cam everywhere, narrating my mail delivery like it was a covert drop. On Saturday, she crossed the line. She scaled a neighbor's trash bin, hopped my wall, and entered the inner testing Zonia Seal garage used for thermal data. The system locked her in with a hiss. Her GoPro stream exploded. "They've trapped me in a bunker. Bio-lasers." It wasn't a bunker, just a smart garage, but her panic went viral. Clips of her yelling about digital prisons hit social media, and Garage Helen was born. Agents retrieved her quietly, finding her curled up under a table, muttering about satellites. The feds thanked Meher Chaos had stress-tested the system perfectly. But Helen didn't stop. She sent an HOA newsletter claiming she'd been illegally detained by shadow operatives. The neighborhood turned on her. Sarah called her bunker lady. Then came the bombshell. Congress summoned her to a closed hearing. She arrived with diagrams of fence espionage and a sketch of Tinkerbell in a hazmat suit. One senator asked if aliens were involved. "Not directly," she said, stone-faced. The room erupted in stifled laughter. Helen was ousted from the HOA, slapped with a restraining order, and became a cautionary tale. But she didn't vanish. She watched my house from her porch, silent, plotting. When she started filing baseless city complaints, I showed inspectors my permits. The Pentagon logged every move. Then, one morning, a gold-trimmed plaque arrived, declaring my home a designated national defense prototype site. I mounted it by my gate. Helen stared, speechless, clutching Tinkerbell. Her war had backfired, made me untouchable. A week later, a storm knocked out power. At 10 p.m., cameras caught Helen, drenched, digging at my fence with a spatula, muttering about secret nodes. She struck the panel with a crowbar, and a mild shock sent her sprawling. I reported it as sabotage. The feds investigated, and soon, they took her for a mental health evaluation. The neighborhood exhaled. Her blog vanished, her signs came down, and I planted roses where a QR code sticker once sat. One evening, a letter arrived, handwritten. I thought I was saving us. I was wrong. I'm sorry. Ha! Was it real? I kept it a quiet into a loud saga. The Pentagon declassified parts of the project, and I stayed on as a consultant. Helen moved away, her house empty, her legacy a meme. Logic won, silent and steady, long before she realized the fight was over. What do you think? Was Helen a misguided patriot or a reckless menace? Should the government have stepped in sooner, or was letting her spiral the right call? Could Michael have stopped her earlier, or was her downfall inevitable? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more wild stories.